Kevin Stefanski and Browns receive clear ultimatum on Travis Hunter after he sends career-threatening message to all 32 NFL teams. Travis Hunter is married to the game. As cliched as it sounds, he really does live, eat, and breathe football. It sure helps when you're as gifted at it as he is, but skill doesn't necessarily reciprocate to this level of passion. He, quite literally, can't get enough. The two-way unicorn played essentially every snap of every game at Colorado last year. But as he now ascends to the NFL, he's been reminded along every juncture how unsustainable this is, how it'll take a toll on his body in the long run, how it'll lead to diminishing returns on both offense and defense. Does Hunter care? Absolutely not. Paraphrasing him here, but Travis Hunter has sensationally announced he'll walk away from football in its entirety if he's not playing both sides in the pros. This served as a warning to all front offices and coaches, buyer beware. But it was particularly resounding for HC Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns. The team holds the second overall pick in the NFL draft, and there's been very credible reporting to suggest they'll select Hunter. Throughout this draft process, it's been a prevailing belief the Browns shall utilize him primarily as a wide receiver, someone who can form a tandem with Jerry Jeudy on the opposite perimeter. Meanwhile, he could slot in at cornerback in appropriate game scenarios and packages. On the surface level, having a primary position of focus makes sense. But after Travis Hunter's own admission, this creates a conundrum. Potential friction, even. So what's the proverbial lubricant? Over NFL on NBC, Mike Florio and Chris Sims dissected the situation. They are largely in agreement about the notion that playing both positions full-time isn't viable, that an alternative plan of action needs to be put in place. Whether that's him mainly being a WR, as aforementioned, or a lockdown CB who plays in 3 receiver sets or in the slot on occasion. But Florio is adamant about one thing. Kevin Stefanski can't force the decision upon Travis Hunter. Sure, he can assign him a role. He's the head coach, after all, and supersedes him in power. However, Florio thinks in order for this potential marriage to work healthily, Hunter needs to come to the realization of how untenable his demands are on his own. Here's what Mike Florio said. I think it's as simple as this. Whoever takes Travis Hunter has to be willing to let him come to the conclusion, said Florio. Maybe he can do it. Maybe he can find a way to hold up physically. But he's the one who's going to have to be allowed to come to the conclusion on his own. This is about managing your player in a positive way. Not, sit down, shut up. I run the show. That's not going to work. You've got to let him realize, yeah, he's bitten off more than he can chew. That's definitely a shrewd take. If for no other reason, then at least for giving Travis Hunter the platform to express himself initially. Boxing in a talent of this ilk would be blasphemous. A talent that's actually instigated mind games within the AFC North already. The Browns could probably do with getting 2 quality players in one with how stacked their division is. That said, there's never any love lost between these intrinsically linked nemeses. Baltimore Ravens GM Eric DeCosta and HC John Harbaugh have read the tea leaves and realized Hunter is probably headed to their division. So when they were confronted about his ultimatum of quitting football if he wasn't playing both sides, each of them threw different spanners in the works for Kevin Stefanski to contend with. Kevin Stefanski pressured by his rivals to take a stand against Travis Hunter. Eric DeCosta isn't naive or delusional enough to think his franchise has any chance of drafting Travis Hunter. So why not bring the gauntlet down on a rival that could, and likely will? We would probably want to put Travis Hunter at one position, he said when asked about the hypothetical scenario where they land him. If you have a player like him, you have to think where his best position is going to be. Day 1, if he's going to come and start, which, as a rookie, who's a high pick you hope he does, where are we going to put him? That's how we would approach it. Try to figure out where he's going to play most of his football, he added. This is some subliminal messaging to Kevin Stefanski and the Browns. Of course, the Ravens want him playing one position for them. John Harbaugh also chimed in with his 2 cents. Prior to his most recent admission, Travis Hunter also said he can dedicate equal time and focus to both offense and defense. He, quite profoundly, said how there are 24 hours in a day, and apart from the 8 that he sleeps for, he's got 16 to iron that out. However, Harbaugh doesn't agree. To say that you're going to be completely immersed in everything that there is to know on offense and everything there is to know in defense. I don't know if there are enough hours in the day for a player to be able to do that and to have every detail locked down, he remarked. This one feels more direct, more of a challenge. Harbaugh even dropped a sly hint on how Hunter is indeed headed to the Browns. I assume we'll be playing against them. So, we'll find out how that team does it, he said. Cheeky, since they'll play him twice every year within the AFC North. Both DaCosta and Harbaugh have taken stances that oppose Hunter's own demands. They can afford to say whatever they want to without repercussions. But will the Browns comply? Kevin Stefanski and the Browns brass are stuck between a rock and a hard place. You do not want to limit a generational athlete, which Travis Hunter is, as hyperbolic as that sounds. Something that's even led to a wild suggestion involving the Cowboys entering the sweepstakes, but that's a whole nother can of worms. But while not limiting Hunter, you also want to save him from himself. Elongate his career while not compromising on effectiveness. Travis does deserve a chance to walk his talk, though. Maybe Florio's suggestion of letting it happen until he has an epiphany is the correct way to move forward with this. The unprecedented nature of his dilemma means no one really knows how to resolve it. NFL Scout reveals a difficult assessment on Shedeur Sanders. The 2025 NFL Draft is almost approaching, and some NFL teams are still struggling to assess Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders. This year's class is mostly a think position group, and Sanders, 6 foot, 1.5, 212 pounds, is in line to be among the first quarterbacks selected, leading the Buffaloes to their best season, 9-4. Since 2016, the former Jackson State transfer had a stellar year as a senior. Sanders had the fourth most passing yards, 4,134, and the second most passing touchdowns, 37. And he topped the nation in completion rate, 74%, as well. After only 2 seasons in Boulder under head coach Deion Sanders, he was named the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, and Colorado plans to retire his number 12 jersey. Despite his output, Sanders has received a lot of flack from NFL circles throughout the pre-draft process because of his gregarious, self-assured demeanor and preference for patting the football before passing to NFL Scout opens up about Shedeur Sanders. After playing for Jackson State for 2 seasons in the FCS before moving to Colorado in the Big 12, the absence of good competition is also allegedly a problem. One seasoned NFL scout claims that assessing Sanders is the most difficult quarterback case study he is aware of. Through ESPN, the scout stated, "I can't think of a more difficult quarterback case study. To try and come to a conclusion whether or not I believe he's going to succeed to the level he'll get drafted. Despite the bad rhetoric surrounding the draft, Sanders has remained true to his principles. He doesn't care what people think of him because he still believes he is among the class's finest quarterbacks, if not the best." After his pro day, Sanders stated, mentally, you always got to be tough with everything that there is, because you can never seek validation or seek happiness through outside people. You got to find that within yourself and not really care about what anybody else says." That NFL Network insiders Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero have reported that Sanders will work out privately on Thursday for the New York Giants, who own the number 3 overall pick. The 2025 NFL Draft will be held in Green Bay, Wisconsin, from April 24th to 26th.